Hello, this is Winston Cunningham, and it's May 4th in 2026. And I want to talk about food today. In Language of Mind, food represents knowledge. And anywhere in the Bible you see food is represented, it's talking about knowledge in one way or the other, how we're taking it in, how we're using it, how we're misusing it. In fact, I think it was Jesus that says, it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, it's what comes out. Because what comes out represents what you understand. And I know now that your understanding comes from your experiences. So taking in knowledge is looking at it in Language of Mind. Just look at it as if look at it in reference to how the digestive process works. The way we take in information, the way we break it down, the way we digest it, and the way we put it to use. Our own experiences mirrors how we are using information or misusing it. So, as Jesus said, it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person and what comes out. Because what comes out represents what you understand. And understanding, my take on this is that the only reason we're here is to understand ourselves. And we're in the physical because we needed the experience. Before this, we were learning through observation. But observation is good, but experience gives you the mechanics of working through the knowledge. And how you work with knowledge is how you digest your food. And now, head represents control. The neck area represents how you make decisions. The thoracic area represents how you add purpose or use your understandings toward that. And from the lumbar on down, it represents how you are putting your ideas into motion. So, and this mirrors the way that you take in information and process it. If you're accustomed to hearing something new and just automatically ignoring it, then you're probably ignoring the food that you're taking in. You're just eating to be full. So, and I'm learning more about this now because I've been on a diet and I'm losing weight for the purpose of getting off of insulin because I'm diabetic. And so I'm seeing some progress and I've got some more to go. So it is good, and I try to do this every time I eat. Don't always, but it's better if you do this before you eat. I just mentally say to myself, I'm directing the food to be used as nourishment for the physical body, aiding the cells, tissues, organs, and finally systems, so that the systems work in harmony for the good of the whole. And so I'm directing the food that it will be useful for the physical body. I'm also directing the physical body of how to use this food. And I'm getting better at choosing more nutritious food and less food that doesn't supply much nutrition or maybe none at all. So there's, and for the last 40 years, I've been improving my manner of thinking. as what Jesus referred to as what you're putting. So I'm improving what comes out of me. I'm speaking truth as I see it. That is necessary for anyone. And no matter how much a person knows, as long as they're speaking truth as they see it, I have respect for that. And the person can also have respect for himself or herself. It would behoove anyone to get acquainted with the language of mind. And I did a talk on dreams, and if you want to look that up, I'll tell you about a Wednesday night webinar that talks about this language of mind. And so go to the Dream Program on Wednesday. You find it by going to dreamschool.org. And these people talk about language of mind. And also you can go to the website of School of Metaphysics, SOM.org, and order books on language of mind. Now, from my experience with School of Metaphysics, I was taught dream interpretation, of course, concentration, meditation, and visualization, a lot of different things, and how to get in tune with the physical body, how to create more energy. There was a whole bunch of things that I learned from School of Metaphysics. So dreams was a big part of that, and learning language of mind. And after I had interpreted dreams for a time and got more adept at it, then when I picked up the Bible, I could get pictures rather than just words. And so I was honored at a monthly teachers meeting when our field director invited me to do the Bible class at the monthly teachers meeting, and I was honored by that because he could see that I was getting pictures from the words, and this was the original intent. And since I've had this education, I don't see how it would be possible for anybody to really understand the Bible without language of mind, because it was written in the language of mind. And so from whatever direction you come, you can see that there's been a lot of confusion where the Bible is concerned. But when you apply language of mind, all the confusion disappears. It just does. And so food is knowledge. And the more pure you make your food, the more pure the knowledge. And that I find that is stimulating me toward eating better foods. Food is knowledge. We can take in information. And the first step in taking in information is breaking it down. That's what the teeth are for. And I don't know how many people, and I didn't know this for a long time, but the saliva mixing with the food is the first step in proper digestion. And if you're washing it down with a cold drink, you're skipping the first step totally. And that causes problems later on, usually in the stomach area, because you're slowing down the digestive process rather than working with it. And if you're serious about taking in knowledge and working with it correctly, then you will pay attention to these things. The first step is breaking the information down, and if you see a dream about teeth, it's talking about how you're breaking down information, because that's what teeth represent. Mouth is not only the first part of assimilation, it is the way that we express ourselves. Not what goes into the mouth, but what comes out. So that represents very much how we're learning, how we're understanding what we're taking in, how after the food is swallowed, it goes down the throat, and the throat area represents how we are making decisions. And so, let me remind you, it behooves anyone to direct the path that their food is taking, and direct the food toward nourishment, direct the body toward receiving this nourishment. And the body will take in what it needs and discard the rest. We know that routine. So, and when taking in information, I'm sure you've heard people saying when you was trying to tell them something and it was new to them, they might say something like, well, that's a little hard to swallow. See, it follows the digestive process. So there's some real learning behind these phrases that we heard many, many times. In fact, after I was in the School of Metaphysics for a little while doing the concentration exercises, and my consciousness began to expand, I could now understand some of those phrases that I'd always heard that didn't make much sense. Now they began to make sense. It's because of developing more to work with. And the concentration exercises is the way I understand how your consciousness expands. And the more you throw in the parable of the talents here, because the more you use, the more you gain. The more you misuse, the more you lose. It's pretty simple. What Jesus was teaching was very simple. But if you try to run it through the consensus of opinion, whatever group you're associated with, then you may be getting the message diffused and therefore confused. Okay. Once you have swallowed the food, once you have swallowed the information, then it reaches the stomach area, which is the real process of assimilation happens. And assimilation is what happens when you sleep at night in the form of dreams. Your inner mind, your subconscious mind or soul, is processing everything you've taken in for the day. And it is giving you feedback on your own current state of conscious awareness. So it's all important. How you use the information, how you take it in, how you break it down, and the decisions you make as a result of what you've taken in. And you keep improving on this. And that's the ideal. That's how you work with the parable of the talents. You take in information, you learn to use it, and you work it into your new experiences, and you begin to fine-tune it, and you learn from that. So you gain more energy from that. So the stomach is where the assimilation takes place. And if a person is having trouble with their stomach, then they've got a problem with assimilation. The current level of consciousness as it relates to people pretty much on their cell phones all the time and taking snapshots rather than taking in information, breaking it down and so forth, is short-circuiting the learning process. And in language of mind, a telephone would represent the means of communication from mind to mind. And everyone communicates mind to mind, whether they understand it or not. Because before a word comes out of somebody's mouth, whatever picture was in their mind has been transmitted. And if you understand that, you can work with it a little bit more constructively. And keeping up with your dreams is a way of understanding how you're processing your thoughts, because your own soul will tell you how you're doing. It's real simple. It'll tell you how you're doing. And of course, your body, after you've assimilated the process, assimilated the foods you've taken in or the knowledge you've taken in, once that assimilation, now it becomes, from the lumbar on down, your body reflects how you are putting what you're learning into use. It's not enough to learn something. It is good to have more to work with. But to actually gain from it, you need to be using what you're taking in, using what you're gaining. And I just in the last few years, I've come to some really neat stuff that I wouldn't have had I not been working with it. Had I not understood what the language of mind was telling me. Had I not understood what food represents and how it mirrors the digestive process. And now that I'm talking about language, I mean, of course, your body, when you take in information, you go through the assimilation process. You keep the learning from that by putting it to use, and you also let go of what is not needed. And the way that you do that gives your body instruction of how to work with it. And you'll find it may be holding on to more than what is necessary. We have a lot of stomach trouble because of the lack of knowledge about how to assimilate. And there's always much more on these subjects. But and at this point, let me just suggest that you go listen to my talk on this site, wherever you found this. Listen to my talk I did on the question, because if you've clarified the question, then you've set everything into correct motion where you can benefit. But you got to be paying attention. The key word is pay. You got to pay attention. So your body follows suit in using what it needs and discarding the rest. And so as you work better with this process, you'll find yourself automatically losing weight. And I did a talk on the weight principle because I had lost weight and going through the School of Metaphysics and the studies. And I wasn't trying to lose weight. But the key thing is I was using the information I was taking in. I was learning. I was plugged in. I was involved. And that's the whole secret about weight. It's not rocket science. If you're using the energy you're taking in, body will respond accordingly. So, and let me just add this at this point. Nothing starts in the physical body. It all starts here. How you're using something or how you're misusing it directs the body in how to follow suit. So it's not rocket science how illness happens. Get a copy of Permanent Healing by Dr. Daniel Condren, and it'll explain how different ways of thinking relate to different illnesses. Because thought is cause and effect is the manifest likeness. And so the digestive process follows how we work through our thoughts. Now, let me just throw this in. It just came to mind. In language of mind, your feet represent your spiritual base. In other words, the principles that you stand on and use. If you got good, healthy feet, then it tells you your body is reflecting the message that you are working with things successfully. But if you got trouble with your feet, that's your own soul, that's your own body saying, hey, something's out of place here. But the body's not going to put it back into place. That's what the conscious mind is for. That's why you have the ability to think. School of Metaphysics teaches people how to think, not what to think, but how. The procedure is awesome, and that's what Jesus was teaching. How to think, how to take in knowledge, how to express this knowledge. So taking it in, taking more in, and expressing more. The more you take in that's productive, the more you have to express, and your experiences begin to tenfold. As Jesus said, some things will return to you 10, some 30, some 160, some 100-fold. See, it depends. This is one of the biggest words I learned at School of Metaphysics is, it depends. It depends. When you're reading your Bible, anytime you see a reference to food, it is talking about how assimilation takes place in you, how you're using the information you're taking in. And you'll find it interesting to look, to read in language of mind what it means when Jesus fed the 4,000 and the 5,000. It has some direct meaning, and what was left has meaning about how the experience was used. So, and I've got a book that spells this out. It's called Universal Language of Mind, Matthew Interpreted. And Dan Conner lays it out in language of mind. Not like it's been passed down through the misunderstandings for centuries, but real truth. So I encourage you, wherever you are in the process of understanding language of mind, is increase your understanding of it. SOM.org, the book list has a lot of tools to enhance your ability to use language of mind. It's your soul talking to you every night in the form of dreams. And your soul tells you how you're doing. It gives you the current state of conscious awareness. So, but food, I hope I've given you enough to think about something related to food. And every time you eat, think about what you're taking in. Direct the food to be productive for the body, and direct the body to use the food productively. And, as I'm learning, consider it already being done. I'm Winston Cunningham. Thank you.